Well, hi again, everyone. I'm Dave Armstrong, along with former DePaul star Stephen Howard. And, Stephen, I would guess that both these teams, even though they've had disappointing seasons, they're playing with a sense of urgency, still with a lot at stake.
Absolutely, Dave. When you look at Baylor, this is a team that believes that if they win tonight, they can still have tournament aspirations. They still have their eye on that NCAA tournament in West Virginia. They have not given up on this season. Tonight, they have to protect home court. If they themselves want to get into postseason play, might not be the NCAA. It still has that N in it, the NIT, but both teams have something to play for tonight.
How about for Baylor and for Scott Drew?
Well, for Baylor's got to be late game execution. You look at the last 6 games as they've lost with 5 points or less. You got to make free throws down the stretch. You got to execute down the stretch, and then toughness. To win in the Big 12 on the road, you have to be tough, particularly on the mental side. I have not seen that from the Baylor Bears of late.
Really extend the court, too.
And this is what Baylor does so well. They are #1 in the Big 12 in scoring in transition. And when you have a guy like Pierre Jackson with his head on the swivel, throwing it up to one of the most athletically gifted freshmen or players in the country, Isaiah Austin, that end result, that slam is what you're going to get.
Along with Stephen Howard, I'm Dave Lamont. Thank you very much for joining us, Stephen. I've heard all season people complaining, well, college basketball is just too low scoring. Well, Baylor hung a 112 in this building the other night, and we expect a high-scoring game tonight.
Absolutely, Dave. 2 of the most dynamic and explosive point guards in the country, and both are 2 of only 4 players in the country that average 18 points, 5 assists. Hope you got your ankles taped, because we're going to be running, buddy. And so you absolutely cannot leave Brady Heslop alone. You have to have Brady Heslop aware of this, because if you don't, they will dime him. Brady Heslop will make it happen. Baylor up 8. Now, this is something you don't see a lot. Watch Isaiah Austin, 7-1, get the ball, push it up the court using the left and the right, facilitator, initiator, big fella leading the break. And that's something that not a lot of people have seen, and that's what have NBA scouts frothing at the mouth. 7-1, ability to do that with the skill set in the perimeter, unlike any that I've seen since Kevin Durant, Dirk Nowitzki. I mean, amazing skill set.
Well, Stephen, you get an opportunity to watch practice and occasionally participate.
Well, this is how we're going to defend the pick and roll with Arizona State. First thing you want to do is you want to cut the floor in half so that Pierre Jackson can't use the whole floor. And then you want to funnel him into your defense. Arizona State calls it downing. And normally they want their 7-footer, but I'm 6'9". I played like I was 7 foot. Here again, you see Pierre Jackson getting funneled into the defense. And then I do the rest.
Now, that's a tech right there. That's a taunt. I'm sorry. That's a taunt.
No love in the lane. First rule of basketball, no love in the lane.
But both these teams, Stephen, hang their hat on the defensive end.
Well, Trey, they say defense wins championship, and the last 2 teams standing are the best 2 defensive teams in the WAC. They force teams to shoot below 40% from the field, yet they do it in 2 totally different ways. The Mavericks use a switching defense. The Aggies love to force turnovers. We're in Vegas, Trey. It's either going to be Texas Hold'em or double down on the Aggies' pressure.
7 combined assists between the 2. It hasn't been easy for the guys on offense.
It absolutely hasn't, and that really bodes well for New Mexico State, because they really have the players that can create on broken play plays. You got Daniel Mullins, you got Banjasi, 2 players that can create offense. During the second half, though, you're going to need to have more continuity on the offensive end for both teams.
Reeves underneath the bucket.
And that's one thing that Reeves needs to try to do. He's not the most fleet of foot, but you got to beat Sim Bular down the court. You want to force him to have to chase you. That's going to expend a lot of energy when you're lagging around 7'5", 360. As advertised, and I've talked to numerous NBA scouts, and they're intrigued by him. Now, he's going to have to drop about 70 pounds, be able to get up and down the court, because the NBA now is away from the center. It's more of a point guard-driven league, but he continues to improve, and he's going to have the opportunity in the association. Here with Sim Bular, they call you the gentle giant, but you weren't too gentle on the Mavericks big man. What was going through your mind throughout this game where you named tournament MVP? Now, that's something that they don't do a lot. They only grab 22% of all missed shots. That's second lowest in the country, not known for their offensive rebounding.
Mexico State dominated the boards in Las Cruces, 18-4 in the offensive glass last meeting.
You know what they did, Trey? They were out physical. They came in, they hit Denver in the mouth a couple times, and Denver did not respond accordingly, and that's really affected the rhythm and the poise offensively for Denver.
Foul on Love there against the big man, Bular.
Now let's take a look at that last offensive rebound, and you see the shot goes up, and nobody gets a body on O'Neal. He gets a running start from the free throw, and you get any player that type of a running start, it's very difficult to block them off the offensive glass. But playing with this Denver basketball team that is so effective at home, they're 6-0 in WAC games at home this year, 15-2 last year, so they have a definitive home advantage here in Magnus Arena.
Maybe the top shooter in the WAC. That's 63 made threes this year.
That was money the second it left his hand. He's made 29% of the threes for this team during WAC play. You gotta have Olsen awareness whenever he has the basketball. Chase Hallam, the lone senior for the Denver Pioneers. You came up with a huge steal and then a knockdown dagger three at the end. What made you feel so confident in the end to take over this basketball game?
And good evening, I'm Matt Stewart, joined by DePaul Hall of Famer Stephen Howard. And Steve, to do that, they've got to win games like tonight.
You're right, and since they've lost 3 out of the last 4, defeating a team like A&M that they're supposed to beat on paper is paramount if they want to reach the tournament. The problem is A&M plays exceedingly well at home. They've shot 10 percentage point better at home, and last week they split against 2 very good teams. They lost to Kentucky in overtime and defeated a very good ranked Missouri team. So tonight it's going to be a great matchup of a team that plays well at home and another team that has to win on the road.
Leads us to our one-on-one tonight.
Former DePaul and NBA forward Stephen Howard. His teams have met in 4 of those 5 games.
Absolutely, Michelle. We have 2 worthy champions here playing who go about winning in 2 contrasting styles. The Trojans are the best defensive team in the Sun Belt, using their stifling defense to initiate their offense. And then the Blue Raiders have the most efficient offense in the Sun Belt, and they rely on their big 3 of Ebony, Courtney, and Iceland. Should be a great matchup. And let's not forget, last year's championship matchup was between these 2 that the Trojans won in overtime.
That's right.
So you look at the history of these 2 basketball teams, there's only 2 points separating them, with Middle Tennessee leading 485 to 483. So you knew this was going to go down to the wire. But I thought the Lady Trojans did an exceptional job, like they've done all year, of getting their offense from their defense, not faltering at the beginning of the game when Ebony Rose started to go off, but trusting in their offense. And so that's why I think this game is going to go down to the wire. Yeah, they were stifling not only in the Sun Belt, but they're ranked number 6 in the nation in field goal percentage defense. And with the 5.2 blocks that they average per game, that's 20th in the country. So this is a team with the Lady Trojans that knows they win basketball games on the defensive end. They're not going to out-shoot you, outscore you. They're going to out-defend you, out-tough you. And talking to Rick Insel, he knew that they were going to have to match them physically, match that toughness in order to win this basketball game. But thus far in this game, they have not been doing that. The Trojans have hit them in the mouth, and the Lady Raiders have not responded.